With all due respect to Professor Dawkins, God did not die when Charles Darwin published The Origin of Species. Evolution by natural selection does not rule out the existence of God any more than the Big Bang Theory rules out his existence, since its cause and what came before are unknowable to science. It could have been caused by God or a series of gods. Our universe may be in a tiny petri dish in the laboratory of a whole world of other beings. Dr. Gerald Schrader has developed a theory that reconciles Einstein's theory of general relativity with the Hebrew version of the creation as told in Genesis. I didn't find it particularly convincing, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. Atheists need to understand that the existence of some form of greater being or beings is not ruled out by scientific explanations of the universe. What scientific discovery has destroyed is the Christian version of God. Science did not kill God, it just extinguished the Christian version. Unlike Judaism, Christianity is held together by a dependence on a literal version of the Genesis story. Christianity depends on the Adam and Eve story being absolutely true. According to the Apostle Paul, Christ's mission is to provide salvation for the world. This salvation is necessary because humans exist in a state of sin brought on by Adam and Eve disobeying God. Without this story, literally interpreted from Genesis, there is no fall of man, and hence nothing to be saved from. Christianity hinges on the Genesis story. Without it, exactly as detailed in the Torah, Christianity is pointless. If the earth is more than 5,000 years old, the version of Genesis that the Apostle Paul and most subsequent Christians rely upon is simply ruled out. Science may not necessarily rule out the Jewish version of God, but it certainly does the Christian version, and probably the Muslim version as well, although there may be wiggle room for Islam. All the efforts at reconciling science and Christian belief are a complete waste of time. The version of God they are trying to align with science is not the Christian version of God. It's basically a bait-and-switch argument. Some form of creator or intelligent designer that is the base of their argument is not the tri-headed personal God Christians pray to before football games. There really can only be two types of Jesus followers. Christians that believe in the literal version of Genesis, word for word, or Jesusians who follow the teachings of Jesus as a philosopher and champion of the poor. All of the in-between stuff is simply bogus, since Christian salvation is pointless if Genesis is mythology. If there is a distant star that is older than the planet Earth, if there is a single dinosaur bone that predates human history, if there is a Neanderthal bone or cave painting, if there is an ice core sample older than 10,000 years, if there is an Hawaiian island created before this period, if there is a geological stratum laid down prior to a few thousand years ago, then Pauline and Petrine Christianity cannot be true. Not necessarily some form of creator, but certainly the one described by Paul and Peter. It is little wonder why fundamentalist Christians have become so anti-science. The mystery is why there is a huge segment of Christians that believe science can be compatible with Christian doctrine. It's my guess they haven't given much thought to it, and religion is more ritual and habit than anything they sincerely dwell upon. Christians worry about teaching evolution to children, but they should also worry about teaching geology and astronomy. Paleontology is not too kind to Christian beliefs either, nor is the study of genetics or biology. It should seem interesting that about a third of Christians believe that humans may have evolved, but God guided the process. Talk about not giving much thought to your beliefs. What? God selected a particular human pair at a particular point in its evolution and gave them a commandment which they broke and doomed all subsequent humans? If the part in Genesis about a talking serpent is true, how do you ignore the part a few verses earlier where God created man from dirt and woman from a part of man? Genesis is either to be believed in total or dismissed in total. Trying to come up with some blend is like believing in math, but not believing 2 plus 2 equals 4. Christianity is like the chicken running around after losing its head. It's dead, it just hasn't figured it out yet.